What if the most important American racing engine of the 1960s wasn't the monstrous 427 that shook Le Mans, but a lighter, smaller, almost forgotten 289 that wasn't even designed inside Ford? This is the story of the Ford 289 Gurney Weslake, an engine born out of desperation, perfected by a British cylinder head genius, and weaponized by an American driver who refused to accept the idea of losing. An engine that didn't just win races. It embarrassed Porsche in their own category, pushed European manufacturers into panic mode, and set the foundation for one of the most dominant private winter cars ever built. This is the engine that wasn't supposed to matter, but ended up changing everything. The problem no one could ignore. By 1965, Carroll Shelby and Ford had a serious problem. Their small block 289 V8 was strong enough for street Cobras, but not fast enough for the rising threat from Europe, especially Porsche. The FIA GT class wasn't a contest of brute force. It demanded efficiency, balance, and unwavering endurance. Porsche dominated the category with machines that were light, beautifully aerodynamic, and astonishingly efficient. Every part was engineered with the precision of a surgical instrument, giving them an edge that seemed untouchable on paper and nearly unbeatable on the track. The Cobra, meanwhile, was a brute. Big V8 up front, big tires, big noise, big problems. The standard 289. Ford V8 was good, but above 6,000 RPM, it choked. The airflow was bad, the heads were outdated, and the Europeans laughed at how American the engine was. Shelby knew one thing: if the Cobra hadn't evolved, Porsche would have dominated GT racing for years. So he made a phone call that changed history. The genius named Harry Weslake. On the other side of the Atlantic was Harry Weslake, a British engineer whose mind worked like a fluid dynamics supercomputer before such things existed. In the 1930s, he helped make Bentley unbeatable. In the 1950s, he gave Jaguar the cylinder heads that made the XK120 and D-Type legends. By the 1960s, he was the wizard you called when airflow became your enemy. Weslake looked at the Ford 289 and instantly saw the issue. The American heads flowed poorly. The ports were wrong. The combustion chamber shape wasted energy. The valves were too small. The engine wasn't weak. It was suffocating. So Weslake got to work. He reshaped the ports with a high-velocity profile. He redesigned the combustion chamber for better burn efficiency. He enlarged the valves and optimized timing for high RPM breathing. What Ford had ignored, Weslake re-engineered to perfection. When he was done, the 289 wasn't an American muscle engine anymore. It was a precision European racing machine wearing a Ford badge. Horsepower jumped. Torque spread across the RPM band. Reliability improved. Efficiency skyrocketed. The 289 finally had lungs and could breathe like a world-class racer. Dan Gurney enters the story. Now, Shelby needed a driver who didn't fear Europe, someone who could challenge Porsche on their home turf. Then came Dan Gurney, one of the most complete racing drivers America ever produced. He carried the fearlessness of a fighter pilot and the analytical mind of an engineer. His driving was smooth enough to protect fragile machinery, yet aggressive enough to shatter lap records. He wasn't just fast, he was calculating, precise, and unshakably brave, the kind of driver who could take a good car and turn it into a weapon on any track in the world. Gurney drove the upgraded Weslake-headed 289 and immediately felt something different. The engine was lighter than European competitors expected. It revved higher. It produced power in a smooth, controlled wave. It didn't overheat. And most importantly, it didn't fade over long races. Gurney told Shelby, "This engine can beat the Germans." That sentence started a battle that Porsche did not see coming. The Cobra becomes a weapon. The new engine wasn't placed in a normal Cobra. No, it was fitted inside the now legendary Cobra Daytona Coupe, a machine shaped by the wind itself. The Daytona was the creation of Peter Brock, who sketched the car using pure aerodynamic intuition. The car was so efficient that it gained 25 miles per hour of additional top speed without a single increase in horsepower. Combine that with the Weslake tuned 289, and the Daytona became a missile. Porsche suddenly had a new enemy, one faster in the straights, cooler in endurance, and driven by a man who refused to lose. 1965. The year everything exploded. In 1965, FIA GT racing turned into a Cold War between two opposing philosophies. Porsche relied on precision, handling, and flawless consistency. Shelby and Gurney countered with raw power, bold aerodynamics, and fearless driving. Race after race, the Cobra Daytona, armed with the Weslake tuned 289, left the paddock stunned. It beat the Porsche 904s. It humiliated their factory team. It won on tight circuits where American cars were supposedly too big and too crude. It won on long straights where the Germans expected to dominate. Journalists called it a fluke. Engineers called it cheating. Fans called it impossible. But Shelby, Gurney, and Weslake kept winning, again and again and again. The numbers? The Shelby American team with the Gurney Weslake 289 captured the 1965 FIA GT World Championship, shattering Porsche's multi-year dominance. The world had to accept one truth. This small American-British hybrid engine had just rewritten racing reality. The engine outgrows. The Cobra. After 1965, the 289 Gurney Weslake didn't retire. It evolved. Ford shifted its focus to the bigger 427-powered GT40s for Le Mans, but the privateers refused to let the 289 fade away. They understood what they had in their hands, a lightweight V8 that could spin like a European thoroughbred, hit with raw American torque, cost a fraction of a Ferrari or Porsche engine, and still take the brutal punishment of endurance racing without coming apart. This made it the perfect heart for a new generation of independent race cars. And that's where a small company named Huffaker enters the story. Huffaker, the unlikely heroes. Joe Huffaker was a builder who didn't have Ford's money, Shelby's fame, or Ferrari's prestige. What he had was an engineering instinct and the Gurney Weslake 289. He built lightweight sports racers, simple, sharp, beautifully balanced, and powered them with the Westlake-headed Ford small block. The result was explosive. In the American SCCA sports racer class, a category ruled by European prototypes, Huffaker's cars suddenly became the machines to beat. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, these cars consistently ran at the front. They weren't just competitive, they were dominant. And at the center of this dominance was a driver the world outside of hardcore racing circles barely knew. The rise of Dan Stover. Dan Stover wasn't famous like Gurney. He wasn't a factory driver. He didn't have sponsors throwing money at him. What he had was raw, unfiltered talent, and a Huffaker chassis powered by that same Weslake tuned 289. In 1978, Stover entered the SCCA Sports Racer Championship against newer engines, more expensive European cars, and deeper-pocketed teams. He did the impossible. He won, not by luck, not by mechanical attrition, but by pace and precision. A privateer in a privateer-built car with an engine design from the 1960s took the national title in 1978 and went on to dominate the early 80s. It was proof of the engine's greatness, proof of Westlake's engineering, proof that the 289 wasn't just a Cobra legend. It was a championship force a decade later. Why this engine still matters. Most people glorify Ford's 427 FE, the GT40 MK2, the Le Mans victories, and Carroll Shelby's charisma. But true racing historians know the real story is something entirely different. The 289 Gurney Weslake was the engine that forced Europe to respect American engineering. It was the engine that allowed the Cobra to beat Porsche at their peak. It was the engine that gave privateers a fighting chance long after factory teams moved on. It was the engine that mixed American muscle with British precision perfectly. It was the engine that overperformed in every era it touched. And yet, most people don't even know it exists. So when people ask, what engine truly changed Ford's racing story? The flashy answer is the 427. The Hollywood answer is the GT40. The patriotic answer is whatever won at Le Mans. But the correct answer, the engine that beat Porsche, won a world championship, powered privateers to victory, and proved that American 5.8s could be world-class instruments? It was the 289 Gurney Weslake, a forgotten masterpiece, a transatlantic miracle, the underdog that became a legend, and maybe the greatest small block Ford ever built.